Brainstorming Expos props. Expos is amazing, and if you're thinking of doing Expos, you're obviously going to need props. And I don't know about you guys, but before I did an Expos this year, I was like, what are props? Like, how the heck do I find props? I never watched an Expos in my life before. So I just kind of like, 2 days before the tournament, just threw some stuff together. I was like, here, object lesson here, example here, thing here, and yeah, that'll be fun. We're going to try to spare you that terrifying experience. So, here are a couple tips. I think I have 4 that I learned about how to determine what Expos prompts you want to use and how to think through that. This is not like a codified ABC list. If you do this, this, and this, you're going to win Expos. Because Expos props are really annoying in that they have to be specific to your speech. They have to fit with your speech. They have to mold themselves to your speech. And so they have to be brainstormed in the context of your speech. But hopefully these are some tips on how you can do that. Tip 1, make them useful. Make your props useful. Do not just have your props there for eye candy. Nobody cares if your props are just sitting there if they do not actually have some kind of use. The primary function of your props should be their utility, not their aesthetics. Yeah, it's great if you build aesthetics around utility. It's great if you make something look really cool and also have it work. But you need to have it work first and foremost. If something does not communicate the message that you are trying to communicate with that prop, it is not effective even if it looks really pretty and even if it looks really cool. You want to make sure you focus on the utility of it, not the aesthetic. Your visual aids need to accomplish something, otherwise they're just superfluous. If your visual aids do not actually communicate something to a judge, if they're not there to help remind a judge of something later in the speech or to show a judge something in the present of that speech, then I would contend that you do not need those visual props and you probably don't want those visual props. Your props are all meant to accomplish something. They're not, again, just meant to look good. Making it look good, however, on top of it being functional, can help you to be memorable. If your props look really unique and they look really cool and they look really awesome, people are going to remember that. People are going to be like, hey, yeah, I remember that speech on XYZ. They had that awesome prop. Their board was really cool and it was something that I have never seen before. I always love going into an Expos room because you have like 80% art easels that are really boring and like 20% things that look super cool. And then 0.1% people with fold-up tables like me that look really weird. Anyway, other than that though, if it looks good, it will be memorable, and being memorable is good in platforms. It's one of your goals. So if it does look good on top of accomplishing its purpose, it is going to be very memorable and it's going to be very effective. There's different ways to make it look good, and I'll get to that I think in a second. Second point, developed object lessons. Object lessons, I think, are the most powerful part of Expos. Giving somebody a demonstration or an object lesson on something will improve their understanding. A lot of people just use Expos as a way to put pictures up on a board to say, look, here's a picture, I'm going to put it up here so you can look at it until I take it down. That is wasting your opportunity and wasting your potential in Expos. Have something be an object lesson. Have something be an example. Have something that people who are hands-on learners or visual learners can see the process. They can see it happen. They can visually watch your demonstration, or they can understand it with your object lesson. I had my examples with the apples, and a lot of people really like that. I know Anita Chen, who took 3rd, who finished 2nd in the country, had a demonstration, an object lesson. Her whole speech was built around it, where she said, look, you can actually watch the transformation. Her speech was on like development in the womb or something like that. And she was basically just saying, here is the transformation. Watch the transformation. It's happening in front of your eyes, and this is how I'm going to communicate this to you. The most effective Expos are the ones that use these demonstrations or object lessons effectively. It doesn't have to be complex, just something simple so that the judges can remember. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in Sunday school, my Sunday school teacher would always come up with these really complex object lessons, and I would just sit there like, what is going on? I don't understand what's happening. What is that over there doing, and why does it have to do with that over there, and why is that thing on fire? I don't get it. It was a scary experience, not gonna lie. What I'm saying is you don't want to be complex. You don't want a judge to sit there and be like, I don't understand what they're doing. Your object lesson should be very simple. Your object lesson should be simple enough so a judge says, oh, I remember that. When people have small taxes, money goes into that bucket, and so then they have less money in their bucket. That makes sense to me. It should be simple. It should be something that people can see. It should be something that people can easily find attractive, even if they don't necessarily find the subject matter attractive or interesting in and of itself. So developing object lessons can help with that. Don't have to, pretend there's an O there, don't have too many, it will take away from their impact. Don't have too many object lessons, because then your speech will just be this whole list of object lessons, and people will be like, wait, what object lesson was that again? I forget. Like, what were they trying to prove with that? I remember they had something really cool, and it was really simple, it was really awesome, and it communicated something. I just forget what it was, because I lost it in their other 9. Don't have a bunch of object lessons. Focus down to just having like 2, maybe 3 object lessons that can be really effective in communicating your message. I think I had 2. I had 2 object lessons. I had my apples in front, and then I had the Jenga tower for the collapse of American society. If we take out the fundamental pieces of religious and moral influence. So only having 2 or 3 gives people the ability to remember them a little bit better, and that's going to be effective. Again, if the more memorable you are, the better it's going to be. Thirdly, show, don't tell. One of the things that, okay, this is where I start to sound a little judgmental, so just bear with me because I'm not trying to be harsh. It really frustrates me when I see people with like a bunch of words on their Expos boards. I'm just like, do not tell me what this thing is, just show me what it is, let me come to my own conclusions, and then you can explain that in your speech. Your job is not to tell the judges something with your props, but to show them what you mean. Your job is not to say, look, here's my prop and it says this. Your job is to say, here is what I'm saying, I'm going to hold this up and it is going to supplement my message. I am speaking to you the words. I am telling you the words. The props should be the ones that actually show them. You speak plenty, your props don't need to speak for you. You don't need your board to have words on it to explain what certain things are. If you have like 7 pictures and you need to organize them a little bit, then that's fine. If you want to have something that's up there at like the beginning of your speech that you want the judge to remember all the way until the end, like a number or a statistic or something like that, then by all means put that up there. But have that for a very intentional purpose. Don't have everything have a word or an explanation above it, or don't have everything have a certain, like, I saw one board that had every single picture had like an explanation box above it that had like a sentence like, this is what this is. Don't do that. You have your speech to tell them why that is, and your job is to make your speech, your speaking memorable enough so they understand what something is. To have enough authority and credibility so they understand what that picture might be so they can automatically remember it. Subconscious communication is really powerful. Take advantage of it. If you can find ways to subconsciously communicate things without even mentioning them, it will be very, very effective. One thing that I tried to do that with my Expos this last year was I had the capitalism side, the good side, as green, and the communism side as red. First of all, communism is red because all other flags are red and yellow. It's really scary. Like every communist flag is red and yellow. I did not realize that. But anyway, if you think about what is good and what is bad, it's typically, in my mind at least, you see green is good. Green means go, green means good stuff's happening, and red means bad. Red means like danger or stop or something like that. So if you have subconscious communication, even if some people don't pick it up, even if some people's minds don't process it like that, like I don't know if anyone's mind did, I just put it in there because I thought, hey, this might communicate to somebody a more favorable message and might help my communication. Think through ways that you can communicate with your props without even having to say a word or without even having to pull out a different prop. That was just integrated into my board. It was just integrated into my setup. I didn't have to do anything. That was just automatically being communicated. At least I thought it was automatically being communicated. Again, I don't know if it was, but you don't always know if it was because it's subconscious, so people don't realize it, so people don't say on your ballots, you know, this subconscious communication was great, because that kind of defeats the purpose of subconscious communication. So, just aim for stuff like that. Aim for things, anything that you think will help a judge tie their minds to what you're talking about. Yeah?
Kind of a little bit off topic since you're going to your next point. This is somewhat, I don't know, childish maybe in a way, but which comes first, the speech or the prop?
It's like the trivia question. Which comes first, the trivia?
You want to, and that's a good question, you want to outline your arguments first. Because I'm going to answer that question and say yes, and here's why. You want to outline your argumentation first, because your props exist to supplement your argumentation. I came up with all of the ideas for my props after I already had a kind of a rough outline in my head of what my speech was going to be about. After that, though, that should be before you have written anything down. Then you come up with your props. Then you write your speech based on your props. So you make your props based on your outline, and then you write your full speech based on your props, if that makes sense. Because the most effective exposes are the ones that effectively use their props. People look for people to effectively use their props. If people use their props well, you are going to rank very highly in expos, or at least higher than you would have if you had a better speech that was a better speech in and of itself, as opposed to an expos. A lot of people, I've heard people that said, well, I keep getting ballots that I should just switch my expos to an OO and forget about all my props. And that probably means that you did not come up with your props to supplement your speech, or that you did not write your speech around your props. You just kind of spoke and your props were there. You want to make sure that they're interconnected as much as possible. Okay, fourthly, be unique. Uniqueness is amazing because uniqueness makes you memorable. Uniqueness also gives the judges a little bit of a break from having the same thing over and over and over again. Having a board that does not look normal will help the judges remember you. I don't know how many, and I don't know, Grace, you've been in a lot of Expos prep rooms too, but there are a lot of art easels, right? It just seems like everyone has their speech on a black art easel. And when somebody walks in the room, I can just picture being a judge. When somebody walks in a room, I can just picture saying, oh look, another art easel. Well, people have different sizes of art easels. People have different colors of art easels, but they're still art easels. Like, just do something cool. Like Grace's was like the coolest prop that I saw like the whole last year because it was like unique. You walk in a room and it's like, whoa, what is that thing? So yeah, I don't know how you got that to tournaments, but that's a different story. Anyway, having a board that does not look normal will help judges remember you. It will help judges say, hey, I remember that speech. Sometimes uniqueness can be good, sometimes it can be bad. At Point Loma, I really didn't know what to do, so I like set up my folding table inside the room and then like threw a tablecloth over it. And one of the judges was like, I loved your speech. I actually remembered it because I remembered the banging of the table before the speech. I didn't really mind that part. It was a little annoying, but I remembered you because of it, so great job. And I was like, yes! I got like third or something like that from him. But anyway, it's just kind of like those little things. Find ways to be unique. Find ways to make your message or to have unique props. Find ways to do things that no one else is doing. And that's really hard to think through ways to do that. Just eliminate in your mind the comfort zone. Eliminate in your mind doing what everyone else is doing. Eliminate in your mind saying, oh, well, everyone else has an art easel, so I'm just going to go with that, and that's going to be cool. I'm just going to do that. That's going to be awesome. I remember yours, like 2 years ago on Serial or whatever. Yeah, that was cool too. Like, I still remember that. I still remember your. I don't remember your speech at all. I remember your props though, because I wasn't actually listening. I don't think, but I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Wow, savage.
But it was 2 years ago. I still remember her props. So it's like, if you make your props unique, it will allow your speech to transcend out of the room and stay in somebody's mind because it will tie their brains into it, it will tie their eyes into it, and they can see it, they can see uniqueness. Make sure you can use enough props without cluttering your display. You don't want stuff to be messy. You don't want stuff to be sloppy. That is the last thing that you want. You do not want stuff everywhere. You do not want 75 million different props that are just all over your board like everywhere. You want to make sure you have enough props to communicate your message, but make sure that it is not sloppy. Make sure that it is clean. Make sure that it is condensed and that it is contained exactly within everything you're talking about. That's one way that you can be unique. A lot of people don't use a lot of props. They just use boards or pictures because they don't want to have to deal with all of the props. If you can deal with a lot of props well while still making it clean, that's going to give you a lot of uniqueness in the judge's mind and it's going to set you apart. One of the things that I got on my ballots a lot, and I had my weaknesses with my expos, of course, but people liked the condensedness of my props, I guess. I don't really know, it looked sloppy to me because I was on the other side and I saw how sloppy stuff was back here, but they couldn't see that, so it didn't matter. It's kind of like your closet. If somebody walks into your room, they can't see your closet, at least make your room clean. You don't have to clean up your closet because only you see that, but yeah, clean your room. Okay. Have cool stuff. Cool stuff's awesome. Cool stuff's fun. If you have cool stuff in your speech, people will remember you. If you walk into a room with something that people are like, dang, that's awesome, then you already have a positive inclination in a judge's mind. So have cool stuff. Have stuff that you're like, hey, I just really enjoy this. I really like this. I mean, this is just awesome. So yeah, those are some tips on Xbox props.